And we're back. So we have just had a few run-ins with the technology bug and are running about half an hour behind, but there you go, you don't know that at an internet landia. We've got a full crew apart from Tom this evening, as far as I can tell. Oh, awesome, okay. So what we will do is just get underway. So last time the players finished their romp through Thistletop Dungeon, largely because they hit a brick wall, couldn't go any further, were pretty badly wounded, and some bum of a cleric didn't show up that week to play, so...
Mwah! Love you all.
So they have headed back to Sandpoint, where they have spent some time healing up and doing whatever. In fact, that's where we start. What are you doing back in Sandpoint? You'll also notice that everybody's leveled up to level 4. Gerard, who is there, is Libby's new puppy, and that's a lovely picture of my dead dog. There you go.
Excellent. I wouldn't mind just trying to sell some of the extraneous items that I'm carrying around.
But yeah, you're the mule that carries stuff like that.
That's right. And I need to have more space for mulage.
Aha! I have to go
see.
I have to go see Amico.
Okay. Well, what we're going to do for 2 seconds is pause. No, that didn't work at all. Awesome. Bear with me for 2 seconds. Righto, I've decided to live with it. Okay, so what are we selling?
I've got...
Well, whether it helps, everything that's marked is now not carried in my inventory. So I have a chain shirt.
You're Arvin, aren't you?
Yep.
Inventory, chain shirt. Righto. Let's have a look at that and that. I should just go get ultimate equipment. It's all here now. They'll give you 50 for the chain shirt.
Yeah.
Masterwork Handex. They cost an extra 300 here, so we'll say 150 for the Masterwork Handex.
Yeah.
Heavy steel shield. They'll give you 10 for the heavy steel shield. Hide from a tentamort. Awesome.
I'm happy to hold on to that as a trophy if we need to don't need to find it. I'll just leave it somewhere in the town rather than do that. We can keep that as a trophy. I was already getting the boar taxidermied, so...
The longsword, they'll give you 5 gold for. Masterwork dog slicer, they're not real keen on buying.
They're not real worth, yep.
Oh, they're worth a fair bit, but they're just not real keen on goblin weapons in Sandpoint. A bastard sword. Masterwork at that. Why aren't you using that? Exotic weapons?
It's got a magic one.
Because I'm using a +1 longsword at the moment. I probably actually don't have the proficiency for it.
You can use it martial if you use it two-handed. But
okay.
If you use it single-handed, it becomes exotic. They will give you 5 for that. So that's all the stuff that was on your list. If you really want to sell the hide from a tentamort, somebody will pay you 10 gold for it.
That's right. I'll hold onto that for a trophy at the moment, but I'll sell the others.
Okay.
So that was...
Righto, so that's Arvin done. Who else has got stuff to sell?
For the party, I'm carrying a jade necklace and 34 malachite gems.
Wonder where you got that from.
We got that from in the Thistletop dungeon area. There was a stinky room, and we found a
You found the
secret
treasure
door
chest.
behind
Yep. Okay.
and it was in a big chest. David's got the fine blue silk gown.
Okay. So did anybody do an appraise check on those?
Oh no.
So what are you asking for them? You take them into the jeweler, who is... Where are we? We've got a map of that, don't we?
Does anybody have a praise before I go in there?
Nope. I do have some skill in appraise.
Oh, it'd be nice if you could do that before I walk in there blind.
Actually, no, I don't have much skill in appraise at all. I'm willing to have a look at it and see what I think it's worth. You have a remarkably cocky attitude. Siren walks up and says, yes, I can probably tell you what this is worth. Let me have a go.
Oh dear.
That's 14 in total.
That is 14 in total. And you're looking at the malachites, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they're very pretty. I like them a lot.
You reckon they're worth about 8 to 10 gold each?
Excellent. I tell her that.
8 to 10 gold each. All right. And a jade necklace?
Let's see. Jade necklace.
Why did you get a +1 on that one and not on the previous one? Oh, because you didn't hit the skill button.
Didn't hit the skill button previously.
Okay. You imagine the jade necklace is somewhere between 90 and 115 gold.
Very pretty.
All right, I'll go. Thank you.
Okay, so you head along to Church Street to where the jeweler's stone building is. Owned by Maver Kesk. I don't think I have a picture of him, but I will check.
Is this where I'm going to sell the gems?
Well, that would be the likely place to sell the gems. No, I don't have a picture
I didn't
of
hear
him.
where you said it was jewelers. Is that where we're going?
Yep. It's number 5 on the Sandpoint map. Just across from the new church on Church Street.
Sandpoint. Pull it up. There it is. Number 5. I see it.
Right up top. You wander in and you find there's this wild-haired jeweler. He looks up across his bench at you as you enter. Ah! Why, such a pretty lady. How can I help you today?
All right, I have a necklace and some gems I'd like to sell.
Place them here on the bench. Let's have a good look at them. He pulls out his little jeweler's eye and squints it into his eye socket. Picks up whatever you put down first and starts to have a good look. What are you going for first?
The jade necklace.
Jade necklace. Righto. Then bear with me for 2 seconds. We'll go down. Oh, that's gonna be very annoying. And okay, he looks it up and down and he says, "What are you asking for it?"
115 gold pieces.
My lady, it's a good thing that I understand the finer arts of jewelry. He says, if I were to buy it at that amount, I would not make any money on it myself. Surely.
So what do you offer?
Look, I've got to make some sort of offer because it's such a fine piece. But I do feel that it'll sit on my shelf for some time before I can actually make a profit. So I'd probably come in at around about the 65 gold pieces mark.
100.
Again, I need to have a little bit of breathing room up at that top end. Should I find somebody interested in it?
Breathing room.
Uh,
Do you have a respiratory disease?
70 gold.
95.
Give let's call it even at 85.
Done.
Very good. I picked you for a reasonable woman the moment you came through the door.
He may be a good judge of jewels, but he's not a good judge of people.
Let's have a look at this here then, he says as he picks up some of the malachites. Well, these are a far less impressive introduction. What are you seeking on each of these, he says.
I think you should look at those a little more closely.
I will. And you see him pulls up from underneath the bench a large magnification equipment, and he lights a little candle on it with a tinder twig, which highlights it, and he places one of the gems underneath the large thing. He says, "See this apparatus? This is one of my own inventions. I call this the Kescinator. Please have a look through the lens of the Kescinator, and I'll point out some of the obvious flaws that are located within each of these gems." And then he goes to point out a whole heap of cracks, and they're not very pure malachites, and he points out a whole heap of sort of material. He says, "I'll give you 5 silver each."
No. More like 12 gold each.
Oh, I don't know who you're getting your jewelry expertise from, but I can guarantee you, my lady, that they are fools and idiots. I could not sell these for a single gold each.
10 gold.
5 silver is all I'm willing to pay. Take it or leave it.
What is it you're willing to pay?
5 silver pieces each. 17 gold for the lot.
Oh, it's a pregnant pause.
I'm sure they'll make some lovely costume jewelry for the local amateur society.
$17 gold for the lot? That seems like an awful little amount.
Well, I did show you the Kescinator and point out all of the flaws that these particular rocks have.
How about 20 gold?
You really are pushing me. These are very poor quality stones. And I did come up so much with your previous purchase, the jade necklace. You saw me rise from a great amount. Can't we just call them 18 gold and be done with it?
19.
Fine. 19 gold it is.
Just to be done
So-
with.
And you see him grab the bag, and as you hand it to him, he pulls out a hammer and starts smashing them.
That's 104 gold to split among the party.
Malachite dust.
There's my jig.
I like to call it glitter, or the Keskagnitter, he says. Be great for fairy dust, and Willy Wobble answers that one with all the fairies in it. You know that one, he says.
Mm. Yes, I'm all over them. The fairies.
Very well. Is there anything
Is
else
there
that anybody has to sell?
Yeah. Is there an arcane shop?
An arcane shop.
I'd like to
Yeah.
buy a buckler.
Okay.
I wish to sell some arcane scrolls and also get one identified. Although I could do that myself, I suppose. Do we get to try it a second time with identification?
You should just be able to read magic.
And it's a wand. I had the words
Okay.
Leri Arkenja on the side, and I failed my roll at the time.
Larry Arkenja. Yeah, know him well.
Her.
Yeah. Where'd you get it from?
She was just down the stairs where the secret room was on level 2 in Thistletop.
Wow, you have an amazing memory.
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay, so the first level underneath, or
Yes, I think it's the first level underneath.
So if you're carrying party treasure and you sell it, you are giving the money to the party.
Yep, I'm happy for the treasure to be distributed. So I had 220 gold.
okay, so just down the stairs, you say. Was she? So she was in the secret room, the room with the
She was-
secret room stairs.
Room with the secret door stairs, yeah.
Indeed, she did have a wand. Okay, you can make a check on it.
Ah, that would be me making. Did
Spell-
we end up deciding to craft we're rolling?
Spellcraft.
Doodle-doo.
Doodle-doo, it is
Okay.
a wand of magic missile
Wow,
with 38 charges.
that's actually
Nice.
useful. 38. Wow, that's double useful.
Of course, it's
That'll
only
give
Yeah.
it's only a first level wand, so it only does D4 plus 1. But
Yeah.
Well, that's really good when you normally do nothing against a shadow.
true.
So this got some scrolls and wands. The shadow knows. Wand of silent images. Silent image. 5 charges. Probably a first level spell, I would suspect.
Silent image. That's it's definitely a an illusion spell.
Nice.
I'm confused. Who is
Silent image is second level.
Arvin?
Well, 5 charges, so proportionally.
Who is Arvin? Is that our paladin or is that
Yeah,
our?
it's your paladin.
Okay.
Cyron's your cleric. Oh no, Sorcerer
We have
Wizard
a-
1. It is a first level spell.
Okay, so it's not going to be worth much.
No, it's going to be worth bugger all. Especially with only 5 charges in it. And there is no arcane store, so to speak, in Sandpoint.
Ah.
There's a
All right, then,
sage
fine.
who likes arcane-y type stuff, but no real arcane store.
Fine. I'll sharpen the point and use it as a pointy stick.
Okay. That sounds good.
Well, no, I have brought back from the depths of adventure and excitement a fine blue silk gown for
Ooh.
my loved one, Amiko. So when on our return, I shall book into the tavern because it's free and I'm a sponge, and invite her to dinner and give her the gown on the assumption that she actually likes it, and then have a suitable epic song written about our adventures.
Sure. When did you find time to write that beautiful song?
It was pretty straightforward.
Oh.
It's called "Run Away from the Yet Hounds." Run, run, run away from the Yet Hounds.
I do run, run, run. I do run, run.
Oh no.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. There is a place actually called the Feathered Serpent that looks like it could be an arcade type store, yet it doesn't really say it is.
Oh.
Just says it's a
Yeah, it's hardly worth any money anyway.
cramped, cluttered
and
shop. Yeah.
The other ones I can probably gonna have fun. No, that's about it. Apart from Amiko with my fine blue silk gown, which we discovered.
Okay, Amiko.
And during my entertainment,
Yeah. No, go.
during my amazing entertainment that night, I shall, at the appropriate verse in the song, I shall rip out my dented goblin crown of a rip nugget and crown myself as King of the Goblins again.
Okay. You were doing so well up until that point. Give us some kind of performance act for it.
That's abilities or skills.
Make it
Performance.
comedic relief, quick.
No, I'm singing a song. Ooh, not very, only average song. It's not as good as Marwin's pants.
So have we sold everything already?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they have.
So now party goal gets split between us?
I don't know. Did whoever?
I had 104.
I'm happy for it to be split. So there's 220 in mine.
220 and 104, so that's that'd be 324, wouldn't it?
That would be.
Righto. Okay.
That was a jade necklace.
You're good.
That's another thing I just remembered.
Yeah.
I have the jade necklace. I just
Did
sold
you?
it.
Okay, good. As long as we didn't lose it.
Okay. Righto. 65 gold went to everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, even Aralon. Look at that. Okay, so you were doing reasonably well. Most people were sort of tapping their toes to the beat, and they were all complimenting Amiko on her fine blue silk, until you pull out the crown of the goblins and stick it upon your head, and call yourself the Goblin King. Then sort of people suddenly go very silent and look at you, and you see about seven copper rolls across the floor towards you, and then a couple of people just go boo, boo.
Well, in that case, I'll fall back on the old traditional and a verse of Marwin's pants.
Yeah, they seem a little bit less enticed to enjoy your mirth from that point in the evening.
Oh, fine, screw them. What do they know of great epics and heroes? They're just plebs.
Apparently nothing.
Exactly. No, go to my room and sulk.
Fair enough.
I told you shouldn't have got me to come out on stage with the Tentamort hide on.
Ooh.
You
I
could
didn't
turn
know
it,
about that.
turn the Tentamort hide into a mankini. Okay. So you pretty much have the run of the joint for whatever you want to do.
I'd like to go to the armory. That's number 12.
Yep, sure. Number 12. There's a dour fella in there, I can guarantee it. All armourers are dour.
Well, he was dour last time we spoke to him.
Actually, this one, Savar's Armory, is actually run by a female. Okay. Yep, you wander in. Rather burly female human behind the counter. Sort of looks you up and down. You're that elf, she says.
I am. And you're the her?
Savar, she says. My name's Savar. Savar Bevaniki. Because people in Paizo hate game masters.
Pleasure to meet you, Savar. I'm Malwyn.
Yes, yes.
Looking for
I'm well aware.
buckler.
You're looking for a... Sorry?
A buckler?
A buckler. Okay, I'm sure I've got something here for you, she says. Steel or wood?
Steel?
Okay. Not very, you know, she looks you up and down. Don't want to be racist and all, but not very elven of you.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, you're all nature lovers. You don't go mining for stuff, you normally like the wooden stuff. Go on.
Don't let us stereotype you.
10 gold.
Wouldn't the
I'll even
steel would be better protection?
I'll even etch a tree in the front of it, she says.
Oh, that's just
Oh, how
artistry.
can we show?
He said what now? She said what?
He's painting a tree on it.
For
He's
10
etching.
gold. I thought they were only 5 gold.
Well, that's if you want just your basic buckler, but this one's made of steel, she says. Steel ups the cost quite considerably.
What with all the smelting and such.
And the hammering. I love a good hammering, she says. Sure, you can have one of the wooden ones. 5 gold, no problem.
No, I'll have the steel.
Very good. 10 gold pieces, she says.
And while I'm here, I'm looking for some extraordinary arrows. Do you happen to?
Extraordinary arrows. Every arrow I craft is extraordinary, she says.
Well, perhaps you'd like to show me some.
Certainly. How many would you like?
Depends on how much they cost and how extraordinary they are.
Well, look, each of my extraordinary arrows I name individually.
God.
God.
This one's called Blinky.
And
A group of 7 called Dancer, Prancer, etc.
and what's extraordinary about it?
Well, the fine craftsmanship, obviously. I am the best arrow maker in town.
Read only Arrow Maker.
Look, and she pulls up a quiver of 20 arrows. Look at these fine arrows. These are made from branches of the yew tree, she says. Look at how well balanced they are. This one, by the way, is named Cindy.
Some might say this one has wonky fletching, but it does turn corners.
The word magic.
Oh, well, you see, I'm not endowed with the ability to meddle within the arcane arts. Although I did send a good group of my arrows once to the great mage Doranbiter in Magnamar. He needed the best arrows and he came direct to me, Savar. I I think yes. I'm fairly certain that Kulan was the leader of that bunch of arrows. She looks away over your shoulder
Wistfully.
wistfully. Absolutely. So I can give you,
Throw
you
him
know,
roughly.
I can give you this this bunch of arrows. Look, I'll do you a good deal. 2 gold.
No, I was looking for something more extraordinary. I have plenty of ordinary arrows.
Well, fine. Let me get back to etching your extraordinary tree on your metal shield. You can pick it up in the morning, she says, with a wry smile.
I can't believe you didn't have any magic arrows. Is there somebody in town you can? I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to the GM. Is there somebody in town you go to make your arrows magic?
I don't think there is a mage in town. Let me go through the area. Sandport Chapel, idea.
I didn't see one, so but I might not have caught it. Rats.
Well, Sandpoint's only a bit of a, you know, a tiny little place north of the big city of Magnamar.
What is that noise? It sounds like a pig.
Somebody's scrolling their mouse. Isn't it Matt?
It's
Yes,
possible.
you're right. That's what it is.
Characters 7. House of Blue Stones. Oh, stop sharing video, you fool.
But a high-level druid.
How much
Right
does the
up us
steel
there.
buckler weigh?
Well, still what?
The steel buckler, how much does it weigh?
£6.
6.
Yep.
6. Now go over here. That
Yeah,
gives me
no.
one to my.
There's nobody that can fix up magical items in Sandpoint.
Bummer.
Was there a magic shop?
No,
Would they have magic arrows?
there's no magic shop.
Mm.
Thank goodness.
Let's see. Take out 10. That one's.
Yeah, no, there's nowhere in Sandpoint that you can get magical goods from. Okay.
The priest at the church.
Yep. What about him?
Well, I was thinking of
arcane.
Oh, he can give you. He can make your weapons magical for a limited period of time.
Donation to the church.
Well, even with a donation to the church, you still can't make it permanent.
What about healing potions? Does the church have
Oh,
any
yeah.
available for sale?
The church has healing
How
potions
much?
and the like. Standard price, 50 for a cure light, and what is it? 300 for a cure moderate and 750 for a cure series.
50. What a ripoff. Oh, with all my 300 gold pieces, I could really buy a few of those.
Well, you could buy 1 cure moderate potion.
I could, yeah.
Or 6
Um,
cure lights.
Hey, look, I don't think this adventurer stint is paying very much, guys. I used to make more than this selling my soul in a brothel.
David, I owe you 78 gold pieces, and I just mine, so
Oh,
add
oh,
it
oh.
to you.
Very well. I'm rich. Rich, so rich.
Oh, that's right. How is the construction of your bow going?
Oh, we need to roll on that, I guess.
50. 365.
Thanks, James.
That's where
Hey, you still owe me for the level 2.
Where are we? Craft.
crafting. It's up here.
So in my note under Maywin's pants, I know how much she's still got 3,655 silver pieces to go.
Right.
I
On
got
her
it written down
crafting.
somewhere too, and I can't find it.
Okay, so give me a craft bow making check.
Okay, skill.
What'd you get?
21.
21. Okay. Make an appropriate craft check. If the check succeeds, multiply your check result by the DC. So that's 21 times 15.
Put that about
21 times 15 equals 315 silver pieces. That's the progress that she has made in this week. So you may minus
so I need to deduct
315.
or 3 gold pieces and 15 silver pieces.
That's 31 gold and 5 silver pieces. But
1
yeah.
gold. So that makes that 141. And how many silver pieces?
5.
That must be your note in there, Maywin's pants, I think, Mark, because I can't edit it.
Okay, Maywin's pants. So 315. So we go 3,340 silver pieces to go. By the time she finishes that bow, she's going to have a super duper magical one, I guarantee it.
Yeah, but then she'll be able to tell that storekeeper about how good his bow manufacturing is.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Anything else? Cleric?
Right.
Paladin?
Cleric's going to the bar. Cleric's drinking.
He's probably trying to catch up with that girl, Shayla.
I will
Well,
buy
it's certainly
3
not bad, that's for sure.
light wound potions for 150.
Okay.
How much longer before I can craft that bow?
Once you've finished the value of it, which is another 3,000 odd silver.
Oh gosh.
So at
It's gonna take forever.
if you roll that number every time, another 10 weeks.
Yeah, gotcha. Oh, it'd be nice to have it because it'll be a +3.
And so, well, everyone's hung out with their, good folk, except for Maywin. Is her beau, Mr. Foxglove, around?
Oh no, Eldon's been gone for quite some time. He left
Ah,
to head to Magnamar.
broken-hearted.
Good riddance.
I thought he was Thaven, catching up with Amiko, Siren, with Shaylis.
Yeah, let's see if we can find out where he went. We can send him a letter.
Okay.
I think we should probably discuss about how to find Nuala.
Ralia. Oh, that's right. She got away, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
She did.
She did.
Well, otherwise, we just need to, I don't know, gather rumours as to what's happening, because this thing wasn't this. We've interrupted her in her whatever her evil mission was, but we
We
haven't
need
worked
to
out what's
find-
going on.
We need to find Mel Feshkator, the bar guest.
Well, he was rumoured to be down in those dungeons. Unless,
We thoroughly searched those dungeons.
yeah, of course you did.
We actually did. We ran to every single point of those dungeons. We weren't actually searching, but we ran past every point.
Every point. That's a bit of a strong assumption.
I'm pretty sure we did because there was a lot of running going on.
There was a lot of running. I will grant you that you pretty much investigated all of the top 2 layers of that dungeon.
Yeah.
Let's go
Yes, we
back.
Go back
It's
to the
lyrics here.
third
Let's
layer.
go back.
Yeah, it's been some
Hello.
time. There might be other denizens that have moved into that sort of area.
No,
It's been all afternoon, hasn't it?
my goblin minions will have kept the place safe for me.
No, it would have taken you a day to get back, and then, we just made a roll on mail, and which is meant to assume a week's worth of work. So
No, okay.
And I'm pretty sure that we did in fact search everywhere, and we didn't locate the ways to find the bits we hadn't searched for.
oh,
I see
maybe
something on the map that doesn't show up.
maybe I'm just playing with you. You know, maybe you fully did
Leaving doors
investigate
open.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe we did.
maybe you
As
did.
far as I'm concerned, we did anyway.
Yeah, totally.
I looked
Oh, wow.
as a
He's the leader of the party. I'm happy.
I looked everywhere using my paladin sight.
If God had wanted you to find it, you would have.
Correct.
There's one little
And as I-
area on the map though on level 2 that you can't see.
Oh, you malcontent. Blasphemer.
Okay.
Well, can I check in with Sheriff Hemlock? He seems to have jobs for us in the past. What's
Well,
he up to?
It's funny that you should ask that, quite honestly, because as you sort of finally you see you've been wandering around, you've been watching Maelwyn work away at this bow that she tells you is going to be an absolutely massive bow that's going to kill everything. You watched Shayla's lavish attention upon Siron, and them disappear to... Oh, my dog's talking to me. And then you sort of see Shayless and Siron. Siron obviously being the complete and utter gentleman that he is.
Is he
Try-
off with that daughter of the bartender or whatever it was? Again?
Try and skip out of
Grocer, yeah.
the general store owner. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Trollop.
Try and keep one step
That's what
ahead
I'm
of
talking about.
Vend. And they even attempt to sort of win back the attentions of the town folk. Miko seems quite comfortable with him, but other people not. And then you suddenly realise at the end of the day, you know, Sandpoint's a bit like a trouble magnet. I better go check in with the old sheriff to find out what's going on. As you look up from the dais that you are praying at the church, because of course that's what you're doing, being an absolutely pious paladin.
That's what I do.
You see Sheriff Hemlock walking towards you. I've even got a picture of him today. Where are we? Images. Sheriff Hemlock. Let's share that.
As a paladin, he needs to go get his regular colonoscopy too to find out if there's anything growing in there.
They do find a couple of broomsticks.
Like a little green goblin.
Oh, okay, that sort of thing. Righto, so
That's
Sheriff
right. Have to extract those things with extreme prejudice.
Sheriff Hemlock walks towards you. He gives you a gruff nod. Arvin,
Ooh.
G'day, Sheriff.
know where we can catch up with the rest of your group?
Well, look, we're hanging out at the Rusty Dragon. I can't be sure that everyone will be there, but at some stage they'll check in. Would you like me to put the word out?
Perhaps if you could gather them, I'll meet you at the Rusty Dragon in an hour. So
I will do so.
He has
I'll
a
meet you
very-
there in an hour.
has a very gruff look on his face, very concerned.
Is everything okay, Sheriff?
Let's just talk in an hour, he says, and turns and walks off.
Blessings of Saran Ray be on you.
Sure. He says, and those of Erastil upon you. And he walks
And
on.
off I go.
Yep, okay.
Oh, remove that do not disturb sign from Siren's door and knock heavily.
There's a sign.
I saw it.
No.
Sir Henry has sent me to find you.
Oh. Excuse me, dear. I'll be but a few moments.
She just rolls over, says, "It's not my father, is it?"
Sincerely hope not. That guy's dangerous.
All right. What am I after? Okay, so yes, Arvin drags you out of the. Of course, you were just obviously reading poetry to the young Shayless.
Poetry. I was reading from the scriptures.
Without any clothes on.
Just a reminder.
That's right.
Young Shayless.
Ooh.
And tells you.
Might have to make up a song about her.
Siren and Shayla sitting in a tree.
So yeah, basically he tells you that the sheriff wants to meet with you all in about an hour.
That's right. So let's meet there. Meet the sheriff in an hour.
In and out.
Drinks all
I'll be
around.
ready. I'll be ready and waiting. 45 minutes early.
Oh, dear Arthur.
That's all right. That's 45 minutes of drinking.
45 minutes of scripture reading.
Sure. Okay, so essentially you're all going to meet there in an hour?
Indeed.
Okay. Okay. You prop yourselves up at the bar at the Rusty Dragon when the door opens. It's about an hour and 10, hour and 15 after the first meeting with Arvin. And Sheriff Hemlock has a bit of a look around. Sort of,
Sheriff, over here.
he's got a very grim look on his face, and he sort of walks over at you all, and he sort of nods to each of you in turn. And then he begins speaking directly and gruffly. First, let me thank you again for all you've done for Sandpoint. It's fortunate you've proven yourself so capable, because we've a problem I think you can help us with. A problem I wish I didn't have to involve anyone with, but one that needs dealing with now before the situation grows worse. Put simply, bear with me for 2 seconds.
Right? That's not the
Put
problem.
simply, we have a murderer
Seriously.
in our midst. One who I fear has only begun his work. Some of you doubtless remember the late unpleasantness. How the town nearly tore itself apart in fear as Chopper's slayings went on unanswered. I'm afraid we might have something similar brewing now. Bear with me for a second.
There's a bear in here?
Yeah,
And a chair as well.
he's a performing Russian bear. Late last night, the murderer struck at the sawmill. There are 2 victims, and they're in pretty gruesome shape. The bodies were discovered by one of the mill workers, a man named Iber Thorne, and by the time my men and I arrived on the scene, a crowd of curious gawkers had already sprung up. I've got my men stationed there now, keeping the mill locked down, but the thing that bothers me isn't the fact that we have 2 dead bodies inside. It's the fact that this is actually the second set of murders we've had in the last few days.
What have we missed?
I come to you for help in this matter. My men are good, but they are also green. They were barely able to handle themselves against the goblins, and what we're facing now is an evil far worse than goblins. I need the help, but I'm afraid you'll need the help too. You see, I'm afraid this particular murderer knows one of you as well. And
I deny everything.
Why do you say that?
he pushes a blood-stained scrap of parchment from out of his pocket towards Maelwyn. And you can see that written on the back of it, written in blood, is the word Maelwyn.
Oh.
She's guilty.
What is it written on?
It's written on parchment.
You found that on one of the bodies?
You will learn to
Yes,
love
it was
me.
pinned to one of them.
Desire me in time as she did. Give
Confess
yourself
now
to
and
me.
save us a lot of work.
Desire me in time. Give herself to the pack, and all shall end.
Oh, is there more on the
Pack.
parchment? Oh, you.
I don't know anybody here that would do that kind of thing.
I
No.
do not doubt it, he says. But should this sort of thing get out, it would not do well for your image here in town. I trust you, and I have seen the good that you have done for this town, so I would hope that you perhaps could investigate this.
Well, where was the site of the other set of first set of murders?
Yeah.
Okay. The first murders. 3 con men from the town of Gauduria were found murdered in an abandoned barn south of town a few days ago. There was a bodyguard there who survived the assault, but he has gone completely insane, and we have taken him to Habe's Sanatorium, which is a privately run respite centre for the insane south of town. That's why I suggest you look into the current murders, because they are in town itself. Certainly you
What?
could perhaps go and talk to the bodyguard if you feel necessary.
Well,
What
we should
style
go
of murder was it?
to the mill and check out the murder scene, see if we find any clues that might have been overlooked.
How were they killed?
Gruesomely. He turns and he says, I've talked to Iber, who's the guy that found them. I would say that some kind of small cutting knife, maybe claw, I don't know. He says, but I do know that an arcane symbol was cut into the chest of one of the victims, and the other one was cut in half by the saw blade in the mill. In fact,
All right.
he looks concerned at Cyrom. He says it's Ven Vinder's other daughter who was killed.
Victim, that's what I was about to ask.
You said there were
Now,
two.
Right.
His other daughter had been in some trouble, I think
Yeah.
Kalis had told us previously.
Katrine.
You'll learn to love me, desire me in the same in time as she did. Right. Give yourself to the pack. Sheriff, do you have any understanding as to a reference to the pack in town?
No, this is sort of not terminology that I've come across here.
Are there gangs in town, Sheriff?
Look, depends on who you ask. Of course, there's always people that work together, but most of the gangs, and he does the inverted commas things in the air. He says most of those that run would be families, the Scarnettis,
Oh my
and the like.
Sounds. What's the name of that lord that was all over me?
Foxglove.
Foxglove? Is that what I just heard?
Yeah, he was Alden Foxglove was the lord that was very into Mayowen.
Is it signed your lordship? Huh. But he left, did he not?
And he was nothing but nice to us, Mayowen.
Could have run afoul of somebody who put some kind of spell on him or did something to him. He's the only one that's shown me that kind of attention.
So any of the other victims, you said some were con men in the earlier murder.
Yes, they.
Not locals.
No, they once tried to get into Sandpoint, but I warned them off. Bear with me for a second. I'm scrolling down to that portion. Their names were. Tarch Mortwell, Lena Hask, and Gedwin Tabe. They're fairly well-known conmen and swindlers. I knew that they were going to be trouble, so I forbade them from operating anything or any operations in Sandpoint. So, it's not surprising to find them that they were murdered. It was only a matter of time before they tried to swindle someone that was nastier than they were. The only thing that makes me think that these things are connected is that they all had the same 7-pointed star carved into their chests.
7-pointed star. I'm going to take a knowledge of religion and see if that's a particular religious iconography of which I am familiar.
Okay. Knowledge religion is not something that you can actually use for that check. So that comes up negative. Bye-bye.
Right, and knowledge the planes. Are we dealing with extra dimensional people?
No. Also, bye-bye.
We hadn't seen that symbol at all in any of Shayla's diary.
Well, you have
mother's diary or anything like that.
All he's just said is a 7-pointed star. That's you haven't actually seen the symbol yet. He's not got a drawing of it for you.
Fair enough. Cool. Okay. Well.
Edinburgh Mill.
Okay.
More importantly, does Shayla and Ven know?
Well, I've actually got Ven locked up, because, quite honestly, he's the only one that I can actually think may have some kind of excuse. I don't believe that he did it, but, you know, Ven's got a bit of a temper on him, apparently. And once he found out that Katrine was probably malingering with one of the members of the lumber mill, should he have walked in, I wouldn't have put it past him that perhaps something awkward occurred. So I've got him in a cell at the moment, just sort of cooling off. Shayless I haven't been able to find.
Was the other victim male or female?
Male, definitely. His name is Benny Harker. Word around the mill workers that he and Katrine have been having it on in late night trysts at the mill.
And the body's still at the mill.
Yes. In fact, they've hardly been touched.
Let's go investigate.
Okay.
Okay. Very good.
How much are we getting paid?
Oh, well, you know, maybe clearing your own names. I thought it'd be payment enough, but...
Are we deputised?
Yes, I will deputise you, so yes, you will get some payment, he says.
Payment, I want power.
Hang on, I forgot to add his last bit. No. Where are we? Let's go down the bottom. Because I'm sure it says down there. Oh, look, if they don't want to do it.
That note, where was that note?
It was-
Your lordship.
It was pinned to Benny Harker's shirt. Oh, he'll pay you an amount. It's a small amount. Can't remember how much it is.
Before Sheriff Hemlock goes, I'll let him know that Shayless is upstairs.
Ah, okay. He says that's a bit on the odd side. Do you know what room?
Yes.
No.
Yes, she's upstairs in one of our rooms.
He looks sort of sideways at you all.
Siren.
What? What? Discretion. Discretion, Alvin.
Well, are you going to tell her or are you going to let the sheriff tell her? The sister's just been killed.
Yeah, you uncouth bastard.
I'll have a chat.
Okay. Well,
You
then
can comfort her.
Siron heads upstairs.
He does.
Are we going to wait? Let's have a drink.
Well, I don't know. I think we should probably go and have a look at these bodies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I just
Go
found
to
it.
the mill.
Look, I'll deputise you, and if you can stop these murders, I'll give you a 500 gold piece reward.
Whoa. Comfortable fortune compared to the goblin payment.
Well, this is a much more serious thing, he says.
Okay,
Goblins
let
are a
us be
nuisance.
off. I imagine that Siron will be delayed at least 30 minutes.
Wow. Okay, Siron, you wander upstairs.
I do.
You see as you sort of open the door, Shayless rolls over underneath the bed sheets. And she says, "Oh, good. I'm glad it didn't keep you for too long." She pats the side of the bed.
I'm afraid I have some bad news, my dear.
"Oh, that's never good coming from a man," she says.
Sister.
"Oh, you've fallen in love with Katrine. What is it with this town? Men here just seem to fall for her like apples off a tree."
How many people? Who else?
"Well, just the more respectable ones," she says. "I thought I'd finally snagged something good in you."
Oh, there's plenty of good in me, and I'm more than happy to share it with you.
I mean, she's all involved with that guy at the sawmill. Guaranteed to make her money for the rest of her life, and she'll be a well-respected woman of Sandpoint. Me, I'll just be a scurrilous rumour upon everybody's lips.
There's been a most unfortunate turn of events at the sawmill, my dear.
She sort of stops and looks at you. "They've been found out." "Oh, father didn't catch them at it, did he?"
No, but Sheriff Hemlock certainly knows about them.
"Sheriff Hemlock caught them?" "Oh, just imagine being caught in another man's room and Sheriff Hemlock knowing about it. Oh, my heart beats too quickly to think about such a thing."
My dear, your sister's been found dead.
Okay, you see, well, not that she's got a terribly large amount of colour about her, but you see what colour she does have drain out of her face. "No," she says.
And Siren sidles up and puts his arm around her and tries to comfort her as best as he can. I'm afraid it's true. It appears that their tryst has been discovered and someone has taken to her.
What? She was.
Do you know who else might have held her affection and might have been upset by this relationship with the milliner? Not the milliner.
He's a hat maker now?
He could be.
Oh dear.
Excuse me.
Well, I can't say that she confided in me overly greatly. I thought it was only Banny. I can't think of anybody wanting to do harm to her.
Do you know anything about the pack, or somebody who would refer to himself as his lordship?
I've been... And then she bites her tongue. There are many men that seek grandeur, she says, and take on the tones of titles when perhaps they aren't due them. But no, none leap to my mind, and this pack, were there dogs involved?
We haven't visited the mill as yet, and we'll be checking on that shortly.
Oh dear.
There's a strange reference.
I must... Where did you hear this reference? She says, suddenly turning and looking at you astutely.
Astutely?
Astutely.
Sheriff Hemlock has shared what little he knows with us.
Did she drop her sheet?
But the pack? His lordship? These are very specific things. Was she alive when they found her? Is she alive now? Are you misconstruing what happened?
No, I'm not misconstruing anything at all.
Then I
Your
must...
sister, was she involved in any cults?
Good grief, Katrine. Perhaps the cult of needlework? of making sure that the bed knobs were polished perfectly. Katrine was too good to be found
Well, she's been found, and all is not well. If you know anybody who might have wished her wrong, then it'd be helpful to know.
I do. I truly, my love, she sort of trembles in your arms. I do not know of anybody that would wish to harm her.
My companions and I are going to take on the investigation of what has happened to your sister.
You are.
It might be time if you spoke to your father about what has happened. And I'll bring you as such news as I can as soon as I have it to hand.
Then go. I must take this news to my father. He will be crushed.
Siren helps her to gather things and makes sure that everybody's presentable and has a fresh copy of the scriptures as we leave the room.
Via the back window.
Okay. As you head downstairs, you find your party has left some minutes ago.
All right. Okay. Scarpa to the mill.
To the mill! To the mill! Okay, the mill itself is surrounded by... Pardon me. Hang on, I'd better find out where the mill is. Sandpoint Lumber Mill. I think it's down on the dock somewhere. Notes, Sandpoint locations, chapel. Do Glassworks, Savouries, The Curious Goblin, Lumber Mill, 25. Okay, so it's over near Mill Pond, strangely enough. And you can see that there's a pier that comes off the mill that collects sort of logs that are sucked up into the mill itself. So I will share that with you. 25 is over on the eastern side of the map, with that long pier that shoots out into Mill Pond.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can go log running.
So there's that pier and there's the mill itself where the things are done. What are you looking into?
The bodies.
I'm gonna look for tracks.
Where are you looking for tracks?
Where they were killed.
Where are the bodies found?
Okay, so you're going to head into the bodies. As you arrive, you can see that there are a curious bunch of locals just standing around, sort of like the edges of Crab Street. You can see a couple of guards, fairly sort of green-looking sort of guards, hanging about out the front. They
Have many
nodded.
people been in and out yet?
Who are you asking?
Oh, Sheriff Hemlock, if he's still with us.
He's not with you anymore.
Or then the guards.
Yep. Okay, so you sort of they just sort of shake their head and say, "Look, nobody's been in or out after the sheriff took Iber and headed off to look for you lot."
Yeah, I just wonder whether it's worthwhile looking for some tracks or something around the outside of the building first to
Yeah, I'll do
prevent
that.
people trample all over the place.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Was probably it was all trampled, but maybe not.
There's been a few people up and down this street. He says we can't stop them walking along along River Street.
Yes, we can.
Oh, can we? He says.
You can, yes.
What for? The bodies are on the inside.
Yeah. Just make sure nobody enters the building until we tell you to.
Yes, sir. He sort of stands slightly to attention and brushes himself off a little.
I'll do a look for some tracks around the entrance. And
So the entrance from the street?
is that the way into where the bodies are?
Well, there are multiple ways into the mill itself. There's entrances from the street. There's entrances and exits out along the pier. There's various entrances and exits.
Should I check all the entrances then? Yeah.
Yep, that'd be good.
So I'll check out all. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
So how many rolls of survival? That's survival, isn't it?
It is
Or is it perception?
perception to spot them if there are any tracks. Survival check to reveal details about the tracks if you spot them.
Okay.
So where are you looking? Are you looking out near the pier or are you looking on the street side? So we'll basically say riverside, street side.
Probably best to start at Riverside. More likely
Okay.
with tracks that aren't people haven't walked all over.
Give us a roll. Okay. You head out along the timber pier. And you can see that there are a set of muddy footprints that lead up from beside the pier and up onto the pier itself and then into the mill. Give me a survival check.
Ew.
Okay, you can't really tell much about the footprints though.
Okay. Is there another place to check?
There's
Okay.
the street side as well.
Try the for the street sign.
Where did we go? 26. On the street side, you find that there's plenty of traffic that seems to have gone up and down and beyond. You do find some recent footprints that go into the main area. So give me a survival check.
Okay. So I had that on the back.
Okay, you find that the feet here seem to be sort of heavy boots, and just from having a look at one of the soldiers up along the road, one of the sheriff deputies, you realise that it's probably either his or Sheriff Hemlock's boot that's been in and out of this place.
Okay. So I tell the guys I found some tracks in the back leading up from the pier, leading up to the pier and on into the mill, but I could identify what they were. So maybe I'm where the murderer entered.
But they were boot tracks or footprints?
I couldn't tell much.
Did they have toes or not?
She
He
couldn't
didn't
tell
give
much.
me information when I rolled mine. You want me to go check again? Can give it one more try, can't I?
Not sure. Let's roll skills survival. Try again. Varies for getting along in the wall. Blah blah blah.
So this is different tracks to the sheriff's tracks that we're talking about, is it?
Yeah, they're definitely.
They are different,
So
and they're in
were
the riverside.
they wearing boots or did they have naked feet?
She can't tell.
Mm. So where's the bodies?
They are inside the sawmill.
In any particular location or just somewhere inside?
Right
With a
near
mattress?
where the well. Okay, so you're wandering into the sawmill?
Well, if I can redo the survival check,
You can't.
okay.
You'd need to take a
Yes.
full hour to have a look around and actually get to redo that survival check.
I got it.
Well, let's go.
Okay. You move inside the building. Where are we?
Ow. Eek.
Okay, the mill itself is a well-built wooden structure with very thick walls. The roof is wooden shingles and the doors are simple timber. You can see the mill machinery inside once you enter has been disengaged, which is reasonably unusual for pardon me, for this mill, because it tends to operate into the night, which is a point of contention for the locals. Okay. So as you walk in, you can all give me a perception check. The mill itself, interior is coated with sawdust, strewn with footprints all over through the sawdust, and you do actually see that there are obvious splatterings of blood throughout the mill. Come on, Arvin, give me a perception check.
Can Gerard use his scent?
Okay, oh, that's right. By the way, yeah. Okay, so Gerard sort of immediately starts to drag his foot across his nose. Is this something? There's some kind of foul scent in here, and you all actually catch whiff of that foul scent, apart from Maelwyn, who seems to be completely oblivious to it. There appears to be, there's blood strewn about the place. It's quite obvious that a desperate struggle took place within this sort of area. Anybody want to give me a survival check? They may. So look at the tracks. Wow, Thaven. Okay. You all spot that you all spot the footprints and the to and fro, etc. You all feel like you're extras out of The Princess Bride, as he says, no, there was a great battle here. He attacked forward and then moved back across here and shifted to the left. But it's only Thaven that makes out the fact that whoever was in here was barefoot. And there's a disgusting smell rising from where the footprints are from also. You can see that laying in here there is a body hanging from the wall. Seems to have been stuck on some kind of hook. There is a body that has been split in two where the log cutter is. And you can see that there is an axe embedded in the ground near the log splitter.
So these footprints, are there two-legged footprints, or there's the individual four-legged?
Definitely humanoid, two-legged.
So, bend down and get a good deep whiff.
I'll ask Gerard to get that scent in his brain.
And does anyone have any, I suppose it'd be a survival skill roll, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm not going to do that twice in a row.
Okay, you simply put your face down near to the footprint itself, and you take a good, strong, lingering smell of it, and you can smell that it seems to be the scent of decay. It smells almost like an animal that has died after being run over by a wagon that has been there for several days.
So I asked Gerard to track that, see if it leads us back to the pier.
Okay, Gerard, where are you?
Sorry, is the obvious conclusion here that these people have been dead here for some time? They've only just been discovered?
No, the bodies are fresh, and there's no scent of decay coming off the bodies as of yet.
No, the smell comes from the footprints, apparently. Siren has just walked in.
Right.
Gerard
The
sniffs at the footprints and then just sort of like lays and looks up at you with a concerned look in his eyes and just doesn't want to go tracing any sort of smell at all.
knowledge religion, is this like an undead attack?
Okay.
If that's a scent of decay that's coming from the unshod feet of whatever's been in here, leaving that scent behind.
Okay, you feel like you almost recognise the smell, but it's just beyond you.
All right.
The axe, does it? Can we work out whether it belongs to?
Okay, the axe is a hand axe that's embedded in the floor near the log splitter. It looks apparently as if it's just been dropped there. The handle's got bloody finger marks over it, and there appear
A
to
human
be
finger mark?
Yeah. Looks like just bloody human finger marks, as if somebody had hold of the axe when it was dropped. And there's on their head, you note that there are rotten flesh and fragments of bone on its blade, and that smell is really, really quite strong here. Give me a fortitude save.
Is that smell from the blood that's on it, or is that Banny's blood, but there's still a smell?
It appears to be coming from the blade, not the handle. You managed to
Keep my lunch.
Yeah, you managed to keep your lunch.
So the axe was used to hit Banny or the dead body on the split body, not. So the creature was using the axe. Is that? Can we assume?
Banny's no, like I mean, well, you can assume what you want. I'm not going to say anything.
The rotting flesh is on the blade.
The flesh on the blade doesn't look anything like the figure of Banny who is stuck up on the wall.
All right. Okay. Other way around. That's what I originally assumed, that Banny was
you
attacking it.
You can see Harker's body is desecrated horribly. He's been affixed to the wall by several hooks normally used to hang machinery on the side of the wall. Body is mutilated, his face is carved away, and the lower jaw is missing entirely. His bare chest is defaced as well, bearing a strange rune in the shape of a seven-pointed star. You all recognise the star as being familiar. Oh, no, you don't, actually. Because she got away.
Got her dying.
I have knowledge planes, or history, or dungeoneering, or arcana.
Arcana or history can be used. Ooh, 26. Nice work. Hang on, I'm just checking out the handout from Noalia to see whether it's got anything in it. And it doesn't look like it does, so... Right. You note from your historical or arcana, whichever... Oh, it's a historical check.
They're both the same, so both the same rolls.
Okay, well, you rolled history, so that's where you're
did.
coming from. You recognise the mark as a rune known as the Sahedron rune, and it's an antiquated glyph that symbolises arcane magic once practiced in the ancient Thessalonian kingdom.
What is the ancient
Thessalonian kingdom?
Yep.
What was it famous for?
Basically, it was ruled by magicians, and they were super sort of powerful arcane wizards that ruled all of the people in the land. This is part of the ancient Thessalon, the lighthouse that's here that many people look at is like meant to be an artifact of the Thessalon kingdom.
If I went out on a limb, would they be what we refer to as the Runelords?
I'm sorry, the rune who?
The Runelords.
Well, is somebody metagaming and pointing out the name of the module they're playing through. I have
people talk about them.
I have no idea what you're talking about. No, they don't.
Did they come to a sticky end through a zombie plague?
Nobody really knows what their downfall was. Several sort of theories suggest that they were afflicted by human weaknesses and were destroyed by them.
Okay.
All right. So we have a rune. So the body cut in two is Katrin.
Katrine, yes. Well, Katrine was killed instantly when and she was pushed into a log splitter. Her mangled, ruined remains lie on the mill's lower floor amid heaps of blood-stained firewood. There is a guard near this body. He's rather pale-faced and can't bring himself to look in that general direction. You can see the log splitter itself was powered by a water wheel, consists of chute in the floor with rotating saw blades that cut logs that were fed into that tube. You can see that it just sliced through like a hot butter going through a knife, a hot knife going through butter.
And the axe with that nasty smell on it is laying next to her.
Well,
So
where the splitter is, like, I mean, it's up top near his body, and she looks like she got pushed onto the blade, which is up top, and fell through to the lower level. So the blade is the blade of that axe is laying next to where the log splitter was.
just wondering if somebody hit the creature or whatever with the axe blade.
Well, I think it looks like it.
Can I track the footprints back? Maybe figure out how it left,
Sure.
where it went.
Analyze the fight scene and see which one of them was left-handed.
Do perception.
Survival.
Oh, survival. Oh, come on. Give me a decent one.
You can see where the footprints came in. You actually see that it came through a window on the high sort of level of the top layer, and it has mud all across it. So these are probably the footprints from outside that you've got a better look at, but you're not 100% certain of where they left. I don't
But
think.
they were on the street side?
No. Out to the pier side.
The riverside?
Yep.
The riverside, right. So go out on the pier and carefully look for clues along the pier.
Okay.
I take the opportunity to say a few words and commend their souls to Saren Ray.
Do we roll perception?
Well, yeah, sure. Roll perception as you head out along the pier.
Well, I didn't see anything. Crap.
You still spot the feet marks, etc. As do you, Thaven.
Do they lead me anywhere?
Well, you've already sort of had a look at these footprints. You can't make head nor tail of them. Unless you spend a lot of time actually sitting there examining them. Sort of need a fresh eyes on the subject, pretty much.
Well, do they smell these footprints?
Give me survival checks. It's a bit harder to smell out here because they're in deep sort of sucky mud, river mud. Yeah, you get a faint smell from them. Anybody else wanting to have a look at them also give me survival checks.
Sauron's spending this time finding sheets or whatever he can to cover the bodies to make the scene a bit more decent.
They're a bit shorter on sheets in the sawmill.
I thought they might be.
But you have a good look. You might find some drop sheets or something like that.
Yeah.
So if I throw a detect magic, we don't detect any magic around the area?
Nope.
And what if I detect evil?
Nope. Although there is a lingering aura of evil simply because of the nature of the act that's been committed here.
Yep.
Thaven didn't want to give me a survival check outside.
Oh, sorry. Be miraculous. But
Okay.
Haven is nothing but miraculous.
So the footprints seem to come up from underneath the pier, but you can't tell whether they're coming or going, and that's about it.
River walkers.
Mm.
Hmm.
All right. Now, because we've had a chance to look at the map, I'm reminded of something Sheriff Hemlock said to us. Something about the Chopper's slaying, and I notice there's a Chopper's Isle at the top of the map. What do we know about the Chopper's slayings that went on and unanswered?
They were answered.
Uninvestigated.
They found out all about who killed and stuff like that. Don't get that wrong. Where are we? Sandpoint in general.
Top left corner. Chopper's Isle. Is that where the first murder happened?
No, not at all.
No, the first murder was south of town.
Yeah, I can't remember where he said it right now.
Hang on, I will find the material for you. I thought I had it here, but Thistletop continued. Thistletop continued again. Thistletop further continued.
Thistletop a lot.
Oh, okay, they're your notes, righto.
Yeah.
I'm looking for mine. Sample in general, sample location.
Where's the meal? Where is the meal?
Sandpoint in general?
25.
No, I just had a look at that. It's not got a lot in it, which I thought it would. I'm going to have to find my copy of the book inside here. I could actually walk like 7 meters and pick it up, but
Nah.
exactly. Copy files. RPG Pathfinder. Adventure modules. Rise of the Runelords. Rise of the Runelords. Go to the bookmarks. Appendices. Continuing Sandpoint. There we are.
I still think we need to
Okay,
look at
the late unpleasantness. Okay, when Jervis Stute made clear his intentions to build a home on the then nameless tidal island just north of the Old Light, Benny worried that he'd break his neck climbing up and down the isle's cliffs. Jervis had already garnered something of a reputation for eccentricity when he began his one-man crusade to carve depictions of birds on every building in town. Stute never made a carving without securing permission, but his incredible skill at wood carving made it a given that if Stute picked your building as the site of his latest project, you seized the opportunity. Sporting a Stute soon grew to become something of a bragging point, and Jervis eventually extended this gift to include ships and carriages. Those who asked or tried to pay him for his skills were rebuffed. Stute told them, "There ain't no birds in the wood for me to set free," and went on his way, often wandering the streets for days before noticing a hidden bird in a fence post, lintel, steeple or door frame, which he'd then secure permission to release with his trusty hatchets and carving knives. Stute's excuse for wanting to move onto the Isles seemed innocent enough. The place was a haven for local bird life, and his claim of wanting to be with the birds seemed to make sense. So much so, in fact, that the Guild of Carpenters, with whom Stute had maintained a friendly competition for several years, volunteered to build him a staircase free of charge along the southern cliff's face, so that Stute could come and go from his new home without risking life and limb. For 15 years, Stute lived on that island. His trips into town grew less and less frequent, making it something of an event when he chose a building to host a new Stute. Sandpoint was no stranger to crime or even to murder. Once or twice a year, passions flared, robberies went bad, jealousy grew too much to bear, or one or too many drinks were drunk and someone would end up dead. But when bodies began to mount up in the late 4702 of the Aradan calendar, the town initially had no idea how to react. Sandpoint's sheriff at the time was a no-nonsense man named Casp Averton, a retired city watch officer from Magnamar. Yet even he was ill-prepared for the murderer who soon became known as Chopper. Over the course of one long month, it seemed that every day brought a new victim to light. Each was found in the same terrible state, body bearing deep cuts to the neck and torso, hands and feet severed and stacked nearby, and the eyes and tongue missing entirely, having been plucked crudely from each head. Over the course of that terrible month, Chopper claimed 25 victims. His uncanny knack at eluding traps and pursuit quickly wore on the town guard, taking a toll on Sheriff Averton in particular, who increasingly took to drinking. In any event, Sheriff Averton himself became Chopper's last victim, slain upon catching the murderer in a narrow lane known as Chopper's Alley, as he was mutilating his latest victim in the battle that followed. Averton landed a telling blow against the killer. When Belor Hemlock, then merely a town guard, found both bodies, Averton's and the penultimate victim, several minutes later he rallied the guards and they were able to follow the killer's bloody trail. The trail led straight to the stairs of Stoots Rock. At first the town guard refused to believe the implications and feared that Chopper had come to claim poor Jervis Stoot as his 26th victim. Yet what the guards found in the modest home atop the island in the larger complex of rooms that had been carved into the bedrock below left no room for doubt. Jervis Stoot and Chopper were one and the same, and the eyes and tongues of all 25 victims were found upon a horrific altar. To a vile demon, apparently, lord of the winged creatures and temptation, whose name none dared to speak aloud. Stoot himself was found dead at the base of the altar, having plucked his own eyes and tongue loose in a final offering. The guards collapsed the entrance to the lower chambers, burned Stoot's house, tore down the stairs, and did their best to forget. Stoot himself was burned on the beach in a pyre, his ashes blessed and then scattered in an attempt to stave off an unholy return of his evil spirit.
Ooh.
Yes.
So he swam around from Chopper's Island, where he has resurrected himself, and snuck into. But why would that hemlock you mentioned, is that this hemlock or is it a descendant?
No, that's that hemlock. It was only sort of like not that long ago, about 10 to 12 years ago, that this happened.
So it was this hemlock that we're dealing with now?
Yep.
Yep. And why in the Chopper's Island disaster was there any of what's Katrina's family name?
Vinda.
Were they involved in it in some way?
No.
So maybe the victim was Harker. Were the Harkers involved in it?
No, not prominently in any way, shape or form.
No.
All right.
Did the Hemlocks own the sawmill? If it doesn't matter, don't just say no.
Oh, no, the Hemlocks don't own the sawmill.
Right, is there anything else to look at here in the mill?
Still the tongues and ears. Was it tongues and
Eyes.
eyes? Is the two bodies here, have their tongue and eyes been vanished?
No. Oh, well, one of the bodies doesn't have his lower jaw or tongue, but the body
But he's got his eyes.
Yes, definitely got his eyes. And the body of Katrine is,
Whole, but in parts.
yes.
All right. Well, what is it? Have you, Siren? Have you performed whatever rituals and rites you need to perform here?
I have. I've done what I can.
What about this witness, Ybor? Where is he?
He's at the sheriff's. Sheriff's got him in one of the prison cells, which I think is number 11 or number 10, one of the two.
Do we want to go and talk to Ybor
Yep.
or Ven Vinder?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's do that then.
Okay.
Number 10. Cheers. Just a
Ybor and who?
And Ven Vinder.
Vem Vinder. Oh, he's going to be so happy to see you lot. Right. Right, Ivor. Okay, you move back towards where the that place is. You know that place.
Where is he?
Wow. I don't think this recording's going to work at all.
Hey, the sheriff's got a pretty good looking, solid looking place there, doesn't he?
The sheriff. Yeah. Quite a large garrison that's been set up for himself. Okay, as you wander in, the sort of guards let you free access in because you know you
How many guards does he have?
Some.
More than 20?
Not as many.
10 point locations. 11, 10.
Not as many since the goblins were here.
There are a dozen full-time guards. And about twice this many servants and other experts that help out.
Oh, he's well equipped.
Yeah,
We should ask for more money.
we were wondering if we might be able to talk to Mr. Thorne.
Certainly. You're led down to the cell, and they open it up. You can see Ivor Thorne. Do I have a picture of him? I might have a picture of him. I do have a picture of him. He's a fairly young man, a bit narrow-faced. You can see he's sort of quite pale and sort of a little bit in shock, probably. As you go to enter, Hemlock sort of nods and he says, "Be easy on him. I don't think he's got anything to do with it, but he's been through a lot in the last few hours, so don't push him too hard."
Oh, he looks so bad. Hi,
And
Ivor.
he just sort of nods in his own sort of way, but doesn't look up at you.
Ask him why he was there.
Have you seen a doctor? Has the doctor seen you?
He just shrugs, and then he says, "It's my job.
What is your job?
Work at the sawmill."
But the sawmill was closed down that night. The saw had been stopped.
No, it's been stopped because there was a murder.
Oh. So how many other people were working that night?
He just shrugs, doesn't say anything.
Hmm.
Do you know Katrine and Harker?
Again, he shrugs and looks at the ground. Pushes a pebble across the ground with the tip of his toe.
I think we're going to have to get tough.
Eyeball, can you speak?
"I already have," he says.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go. There goes the tongue theory.
Well,
Very-
we're trying to assist Sheriff Hemlock over what happened at the mill, and it appears that you were the first person on the scene. And
Yeah, I've told it all to the sheriff.
well, do you mind
Well,
telling us again?
Someone's been watching too many police shows.
Give me a diplomacy check as you try to be nice to him.
I'll help him. I'll smile.
What do you mean you help him? You're the one saying I think we're going to have to get tough.
Sarah,
That's right.
can you give him a little healing comfort of some sort?
I'll give him some healing comfort.
Okay, let's have a look at diplomacy.
Does he smell of undead?
You do not get the same smell as you had in that mill from this guy.
Okay.
Okay, he looks up as you sort of start talking softly and just asking him gently whether he can assist you in it. And then he gives you a look in the eye after, and he says, "What do you want to know?"
Said, well,
Damn, I wanted to slap him around.
what time did you arrive and find the bodies?
Early this morning. I was starting the next shift. It's the first one to get there.
Who was on the shift before you?
People, he says. Hang on. Let me scroll up a bit.
From what direction did you come?
Pulls out his iPad. Starts scrolling up.
Looks at the shift roster.
I'm wondering, and whether this just is a lost in translation, if the mill runs continuously, how can there should have been a crew present when they were murdered?
Doesn't run continuously. Says, in fact, it would have been shut down late last night, maybe. I don't know. Harker and his missus always sort of sneak up into the loft area where nobody's working anyway.
Harker works there?
Yeah, he's one of the owners.
All right. But the girl, Katrine, she's not supposed to be in the mill, is she?
Well, that doesn't stop her and Harker having their little bit of on the side up amongst the sawdust piles, does it?
She's been there a bit, has she?
Several times a week, always around midnight. Her and Harker. It's a good way of keeping her away from Ven.
And
keep going.
So, sorry, you go, Kevin.
I was going to say, the Harkers, are they a wealthy family in the area?
He just looks down and says they're better off.
No, I'm not asking him. I'm asking as our general knowledge.
Give me a knowledge local.
Do we know that the Hark? No, I don't have knowledge local.
Oh, well then you don't know.
Does somebody else have knowledge local in the party?
Yeah.
I check with them all.
Yeah, Aaron does. But he's sleeping one off.
Oh God.
How's the mill been going? Has you had any cutbacks on shifts or anything?
He just looks down, he says, and mumbles something, and just pokes his feet into the sawdust.
Well, I mean, we're looking for a motive, and if people are unhappy with one of the owners, that could be one of the reasons.
Perhaps you could.
How's it been going?
Perhaps you could sense motive.
Oh, I can do that.
That's good, because Arvin can't.
Arvin? But I'm Tharvin.
Arvin.
Oh, Arvin. Actually, Tharvin can't either.
Oh, God.
Well, I thought I could. I thought I took it.
Okay, he just shrugs. Says, I'm not one for numbers.
Anyway, I'm looking forward to this face slapping part coming up soon.
Not one for numbers.
Come on, Paladin, I'm getting my hands all warm. You wouldn't want to hit him with a cold hand.
Says Tharvin as he's got his hand in his crotch.
I don't want to know. When was the last time you saw Harker alive?
Oh, maybe sometime yesterday. I don't know.
Do you not see him?
Has the mill?
Sorry, go, Kev.
Has the mill been doing anything unusual jobs lately?
What, apart from slicing up wood?
Yeah, apart from slicing up wood. Maybe they're slicing up wood in a new and revolutionary undead way.
Undead? He just looks confused. He says, what we do is we chop up the wood. People use the planks.
So nothing new has happened recently that you've noticed that would have caused you mental anguish because you're so stupid.
He glares at you. This morning when I turned up, I noticed a
Mate,
couple
come on,
of dead.
slap me! I want you to start slapping me!
I noticed there were a couple of dead bodies. That didn't escape my notice.
Did you smell that foul, decaying smell?
It's probably dead bodies. There are 2 of them in there.
Had you smelled that smell anywhere before that? Or since then?
Can't say I remember even smelling it, love.
Hmm.
Eyeball, I'm Sauron. You don't know me. I'm.
Yeah, you're one of those guys that cleaned the goblins out at the Swallowtail Festival.
I might have been associated with those guys. I think I might have been drinking that night. I do a lot of that.
He's also very friendly with the family.
I'm known to Katrine's sister.
The he cracks a smile at that. So am I. So am I, he says. I mean, we grew up together and went to school and stuff, and, you know, you may notice there's no school in town, but anyway.
No, that's right. Learned all sorts of stuff together. Biology lessons, I no doubt, were very important to you all. How well did you know Katrine? This is obviously a very distressing sight. I mean, I've had to tell Shayless about it myself today.
He just smiles. He says, just as well as anybody else in town, I suppose. I never slept with her, if that's what you're asking.
No, that's not what I'm asking at all. I'm just, you're obviously quite distressed about all of this, and it's pretty obvious. It's pretty easy to see why. This is horrible sort of circumstances, but you.
No, but don't get me wrong. He says, I've seen dead things before, but not one that have been taken to like with a knife, like what they did to Harker's body. I've seen accidents in that mill that are very kin to what happened to poor old Katrine. But what they did to Harker, that wrecks a soul.
It's horrible. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. There's symbols up there that I'm not local. I haven't seen this stuff before. Have you seen that 7-pointed star before?
Can't say I have.
But there's a flagon with a alcoholic brew of your choosing at the tavern when you next come back to town, and it's on my tab. Feel free to call me on it.
He just nods.
Well, we're not getting much information out of this fellow.
Can I slap him now?
Please.
Let me slap him. I want to slap him silly.
I'm very good at slapping.
Where is what?
Where does Harker live?
Oh. Oh. Oops. Okay. Iber sort of looks up and he sort of says, oh, yeah. Iber's actually Harker's partner. He owns the mill with him.
Yeah.
Well, a second ago you told me that you didn't go in for the numbers much.
Yeah, well. Okay.
What's going on, fella?
Well, I
I'll find out.
I also asked you to sense motive and you didn't, so, you know.
I like to know if I like to ask him if he noticed the star cut into the chests.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, I saw it. Thanks for making me think about it again.
Did that mean anything to you? Have you seen that before anywhere? Nope. The symbol?
Nope.
Nothing about it was familiar.
Wish I'd never seen it.
I bet you do. It was horrible.
No, you're all a bunch of wusses. Get out of here and let me slap him.
I don't think he's got anything to tell us.
Well,
He's
sorry.
faking
For the
it.
record, Siren, hearing that, is not going to leave the room and leave Ybor with to the mercy of Thaven.
No, I won't either.
That's how you endear yourself to a party of friends.
I just love the way because he looks a bit sad. Everyone assumes he's innocent. It's beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he is. I
Ivor,
actually
did
think
you happen to hear or see anything unusual? Did you hear anything when you arrived?
Didn't see nothing, love. I saw 2 bodies. One I thought was an
lean
accident from
forward and
somebody
very close.
overnight, and then I saw what they'd done to Iber.
I lean forward very seriously and say, and so now that Huck is dead, and all of the mill.
Yep. Suppose it is.
That's good reason for motive, young whippersnapper.
Probably is. If there was yeah, and he just shrugs and.
This guy's so boring. We should go to the pub.
All right, let's try. Should we talk to Ven Vinder? Siren would like to have a chat to him.
No, Siren's got no interest in talking to Ven. That guy tried to kill me.
I want to go talk to him. I've got to talk to him about certain subjects.
Who's Ben Bender?
He's the father of the girl he's sleeping with.
Oh,
And the girl who's dead.
Yeah.
well,
And as Siren just pointed out to us, Ven Vinder tried to kill him.
well,
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be smelling like decay and have bloody feet. And
Ask
what
him
does that
what-
have to do with that note?
More importantly, Ybor was talking about the fact that Katrine was trying to escape Ven late at night. As if there's something not quite right in Ven's household. Well, I know there's not something right. The guy wants to kill me. Not that I've done anything particularly nasty.
Well, not at that stage, but you have now.
Ask Hemlock how. We'll point out to Hemlock that the ownership of the mill now goes fully to Ybor Thorn.
He nods. Yeah. And
Ask him, and well, that's just collecting information, making sure you know it. And the ability of a link between the Harkers and with the other family, who are they? The Harkers and the Thorns, and yourself, and the Chopper incident.
well, I was the one that found Chopper. He looks at him, but
Yeah.
I don't think the Harkers or the Thorns had anything to do with anything.
Okay.
What's your insinuation about?
I'm just wondering whether maybe we've smelt a smell that's quite distinctly undeadish, and you won't.
Sure.
Well, come on, Paladin, talk to the stupid guy who's going to kill the cleric.
Oh, well, let's go and
Sorry,
talk
what?
to him then.
So who's going in to see Ven?
Well, I suppose I'll go in to see Ven. That is, if as long as Siren's happy for me to talk about him while I'm there.
Oh,
Where is that? What number building?
He's here as well.
He's in the cells as well.
Oh, where is that? What
Number
is
10.
that? Number 10. No, that's too far away. Yes.
Righto, you wander in. Ven looks up. Let's remember Ven. Where are we? Images and maps. Ven. He looks up from sort of sitting down on the straw mattress that's raised off the floor, and he goes, "Oh, great, excellent! It's the Philanderer's Keeper."
Oh, you got that right.
Well,
What
they
it-
don't keep him very well.
Well, that be true. Speaking of which, do you know where the little bitch Shayless is?
Not presently. She told me she was going to kill. She told us she was going to come and talk to you.
Well, don't expect she expects that her pappy is in the prison, now would she? Probably under suspicion that I killed my own daughter, Katrine.
Well, obviously you are under suspicion for that, Ven, but to be honest, I don't think anyone actually really believes it, apart from the fact that you get a bit angry about these things.
Really? If I had caught him finagling with my Katrine, my good, beautiful little daughter that was the good one of the two, I would have strung him up and chopped his bits off.
Yep, I'm sure you would have.
Speaking of which, where is your
bits-
buddy?
What bits would you chomp off?
Well, let's see, I'd start with his hairy little marble wallet.
Ooh. You
he's
have to
got
put an
some
R
anger
rating
issues.
on the video.
Speaking of which, where's your buddy?
Which one?
He just raises his eyebrows. Don't bloody test me, boy. Just because you're standing there in your little sheath of metal don't mean that I can't take you down a peg or two.
I'm sure you would, Mr. Vendor. I'm sure you would. In any event, we would like to try and see if we can get you out of this cell, but we need you to tell us what you're up to last night.
Sleeping, like I normally do, you know, hard-working people. I've got a general store. What was your buddy up to last night? Because I did notice that when I got up this morning, Shayless's bed hadn't been slept in.
Well, look, you already have a view about Shayless and my buddy Siren, but what concerns me
Is it a view or is it fact?
what concerns me is that Katrine appears to have been sneaking out around midnight to meet with this Miller for some time.
Not good, Katrine. No. It's all conjecture. I'm sure she was
Not what we've been told.
sure she was happening by the sawmill when she heard the screams of help of poor old Harker, and she ran in and fell afoul of whatever was happening. I'm not believing a second word of what these people are saying about Katrine and Harker. She knows better than that. She's the good daughter.
See, Mr. Shayless, when I first met her, told me that she thought Katrine might be in some sort of trouble.
Shayless would say anything to bring down her sister. She wants to feel like she's the superior one, but let's face it, she drops her panties at the sight of a chin the size of I don't know, just any sort of chin. I'm sure.
A very hairy chin.
So, what if it did turn out that Katrine was sneaking out?
Do you want me to punch that smile off your face, boy? I just told you, Katrine's not that type of girl.
Can I slap him?
Well, how did Katrine come to be at the sawmill at midnight last night?
As I was telling you, she was out taking a walk with a breath of fresh air. She heard screams coming from the sawmill as whatever was happening to that poor Harker gentleman was happening. She ran to his aid, and look what it got her.
Well, weren't you asleep?
You're the one asking me what happened. Yes, I was asleep.
So how do you know what happened?
Well, I don't know, but you keep asking me what happened, so I'm telling you what I thought happened.
So you're just making stuff up, are you?
Why, I order. He says, I will bring you down a peg or two, boy.
I'm sure you will, Mr. Victor. I've told you that before. I'm happy for you to do so. But I'd like to get you out of this cell because I don't actually think you killed your daughter.
You're happy for
do
me
that,
to
you've gotta
do
be
so.
upfront with me.
Happy for me to do so, are ya?
No, I'm happy for you to try.
Well, that's excellent. Let me do just that, he says, and stands up and throws a fist at you.
Okay.
Okay, and completely and utterly swings too high. In fact, doesn't even connect with you or your armor.
All right. Well, in any event, I was just going to wear it, but
Yeah,
I won't flinch.
he completely missed. No, you don't flinch because he completely and utterly missed you. I mean, doesn't even come close. It's sort of like one of those really pathetic attempts of a drunk trying to punch somebody and he swings himself around with the force of his own blow. Whoa! Think you're some kind of twinkle toes, do you?
Well, Mr. Vinder, I'd really like to help you. But
I don't give a shit what you think. What I'd really like to do to you is get your buddy and chop his furry marble wallet off in front of you to show you exactly what I think of you and your companions.
I've got to write that down. Marble wallet. Hairy marble wallet.
Are you married, Mr. Vinder?
Of course I am. What do you think I do? I bring those luscious little girls into this world, not being married. I am a right and honourable man, I am. As are at least one of my daughters.
And I'm presuming by that vehement response that your wife is still alive.
As far as I know.
Well,
It's been a long night, he says.
As far as I know, it's perhaps the worst answer under examination.
Hang on a minute, I need to just draw out my iPad and have a look, and he scrolls down a bit. Yes, she makes the best pies in Sandpoint. Blessed Solster, the poor suffering woman, the scandal that she's had to live with this bloody Shayless running around dropping her panties to any visiting cleric that happens to be in town.
Yes. That's very good. Now, were you with her last night, Mr. Vinder?
I beg your pardon?
Were you with your wife last night?
I've been with my wife several times, and she's not been with anyone else. It may not have been last night, but that's because I was so damn tired from a hard day of work at the General Inn.
Sounds like it's been a while for you. You're a bit angry about the world.
Well, we don't have any of these fancy things called prophylactics. They haven't been invented yet. I've been with my wife at least 2 times that I can count.
Fair enough.
Ah, he's a Catholic.
Catholic,
I might have Sheriff Hemlock talk to your wife, Mr. Vinder.
What for?
And see whether we...
She's not like that either. Shayless gets it from some... Look, I'm sure I'll be out of there and chasing down your cleric companion anytime soon.
All right, well, I'm sure he'll get what's coming to him.
Bloody well will. Might catch it off Shayless for that matter.
Right. So you don't know anything else about what happened last night?
I told you what happened last night. Katrine was innocently walking past the sawmill. She was getting a breath of fresh air, as she often does, around midnight, and she heard the tormented screams of that poor Harker fella, and being the good girl that she was, following the words of her father, that a person in need is a friend indeed, and so she ran in to help him, and unfortunately my best daughter was destroyed by some evil Satanist, even though Satan doesn't exist in this game, and we won't mention that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, that's right. I'm sure it was Baphomet that delivered her unto Vic, because he does exist in this game.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Vinder?
Oh, who else is in here? Is that little bastard cleric in here, he says.
I'll stick my head out the door if they're not in here.
No, I've got no questions for him.
You don't want to give him a wave or anything, Siren?
I can't think of anything.
All right. Well, he's remarkably unhelpful, fellows.
Yeah.
Would it be worth my getting my horse and me and my wolf right along the banks there and see if we can pick up that scent?
Banks where?
Well, I'm looking at the map along the stables down at 38. So if we started
pier.
at Sand
Around the
Bridge, moved all the way up and go past the mill up to Tanner's Bridge.
So you're just gonna ride your horse up along the banks of the western side, up around there?
With Gerard, and then look for that smell. See if we can find that smell.
Okay, you do that. Give me a perception check. I'll do Gerard, because I've actually fallen quite in love with Gerard. Now he looks like my old dog. And you make your way all up and down that western bank and find no smell whatsoever that matches.
I want to go up to, what's it called? Chopper's Isle and have a sniff there.
Okay. Righto.
And bring your good dog with you.
Well, I was going to suggest we go from Sandpoint Bridge now all the way around.
And work our way up
Water-
to Chopper's Isle.
Yeah, on the western side. Of
Yeah.
the map.
Yep, sounds good. I'm with you.
Okay. So you spend pretty much a good day stripping around that way.
Because the odour was so strong, we'll be sniffing our way everywhere.
Fair enough, you make your way all up and around, through Chopper's Isle, etc., and you do not come across a patch of that odour.
While we're at Chopper's Isle, does it look like it doesn't look like anyone has moved in and set up camps or anything?
No, well, Chopper's Isle is massively like a big rock outcropping that sort of stretches up. It goes up massive cliffs. You can see sort of like the peaks where the stairs used to go up, and there is a real reason why they built in stairs, because it's a massive sort of climb up there, and you test around the sort of easiest areas that you would expect people would climb up there, and you do not come across the smell of that rotten flesh.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can I ask Sheriff Hemlock which body was the note for Maywin pinned to?
Harker's body.
Well, maybe we should look into that Foxglove fella. See, where did he go? What's happened to him?
You're hot for
Does
him.
anybody know?
So what are our clues at the moment? We have the parchment.
Yep.
For your lordship, addressed to Maywin.
There is also
found the barefoot footprints.
A reference to the pack.
Yeah. We've got the foul scent with the footprints. We've got the rune, which we don't know a whole lot about, other than that it's ancient Thessalonian. And not much from either Ibor or Venvinda.
We could go talk to the head priest.
Am I allowed to fill in
Yes.
loopholes that you are currently missing? The first murders that occurred south of town, including the guard that survived.
He's at the insane asylum.
He's in the insane asylum.
And where was it? South of town?
Yes, it's south of town. Hang on, I've got a...
Is that a barn?
Abandoned barn south of town.
Yep, I've got a map of surrounding area. Oh, pardon me. surrounds. That's what I'm looking at. Okay, so if I share this with you, so the old light and sound point is sand point.
Yeah.
Is
There's Habe's Sanatorium.
Habe's Sanatorium is down near Ashen Rise.
Right. There's the sanatorium. Where's the old barn?
Also, by the way, Sheriff Hemlock told you that the bodies of those 3 guys lie in the cool basement room in the garrison of Sandpoint, so you're willing to examine them if you want.
Yes.
Definitely.
And they were along the banks of Cougar Creek in a barn. So Cougar Creek is that creek that's sort of south of Sandpoint. If you follow down, you'll see it next to the mountain range there.
All right. Well, I suppose we should look at the bodies then while we're here.
We should.
Where's Cougar Creek?
Cougar.
I thought you said cuckoo.
That's where Vin Vinder was born, Cuckoo Creek.
But check out the barn.
Let's start with the bodies, and then I suppose we should either
Okay.
if anyone knows anything
Well,
about this rune or go to the.
As you walk down to the bodies, Sheriff Hemlock explains that 2 days ago, when they found these bodies, there was the patrol of guards that they'd sent along the long coast road. Were assaulted by a deranged man near an abandoned barn south of town along the banks of Cougar Creek. So it's actually sort of right near the long coast road where the barn was found. The guy was obviously sick and insane. His flesh was fevered. His eyes were wild. His mouth was frothing, and his clothes were caked with blood. The guards managed to rein him in. But when they checked inside the barn that he was hanging outside the front of, they discovered the mutilated bodies of 3 men. The 3 bodies were far too disfigured to identify. One of them was carrying a piece of parchment, which he hands over.
Who was carrying the parchment? One of
Okay, it was
the-
Hask. It was Hask that was carrying the piece of parchment. The note identifies them as Tarch Mortwell, Lena Hask, and Gedwin Tabe, 3 notorious con men. He knew them, so he told them to get out, and they all bear the same 7-pointed marking on their chests. And then he sort of opens the door and allows you into the cool room.
And is the barn they were found in known as Bradley's barn?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Do I have any spells that are likely going to close this guy's mind?
Well, all of these, there are spells like Speak with Dead and whatnot like that, but all of these figures had their jaws taken out and their tongues taken away, which means speaking with them will pretty much guarantee absolutely very little response. Heal checks are pretty much what you need to do on these bodies to have a look at exactly what happened to them.
I'll aid you with a heal check.
Okay. Siron and Arvin working together find many marks of claws across the bodies. Precise claw marks.
As if they had attacked them.
As if a what?
No, precise. As if a pack of animals had attacked them.
No. These are definitely not animal claws, they're 5-fingered claws,
Okay.
and
Bear in mind
not
that we've seen
bestial claws.
we've seen disfigured goblins and things mutated by whatever's going on under
Do we
sand.
smell that terrible smell?
There are traces of it, but it seems to have vanished, and also, well, it's not actually seemed to have vanished. It's just beginning to mingle, because even though these bodies have been on cool blocks for some time, they are beginning to decay.
We didn't run
like
across. We didn't run across anybody who had a interesting like claw weapon
No.
in the dungeon, did we?
Although I think Nualia had a large claw on one side of her, didn't she? Hang on, let's go have a look. Let's have a look at Nualia.
Or maybe a bladed fan.
Nualia had a red arm that was sort of clawed.
Oh yeah.
I was more just raising it as a generalization that something's been disfiguring, other beasts that have been putting themselves forward. But anyway,
True. Hemlock also tells you that the guy that they took in is known as Grace Sevilla, who's a guy from Varizia. He's a bit of a thug, but he gets about working just sort of muscle jobs from here or there.
right. Well,
If you want to go see him, find out what was going on, he is a bit off his rocker. Don't expect too much, but I can provide you with a letter of introduction to Habe Sanatorium, explaining you're down there on our business, if you want.
yeah. And each of the bodies was marked with the rune
Yes, every single one of them.
in the same spot,
Mhm.
chest.
By the way, just in case you're wondering, Katrine's body wasn't.
Yeah.
No, it was yeah. Yeah, that was accidental.
You look for tracks.
What, from the
From the morgue.
morgue?
What?
You talking about the barn, Libby, or are you talking about the morgue? Looking when you're looking for tracks.
The what? Are you saying morgue?
Yes, that's where you're investigating these
Oh, I
bodies.
thought we were at the barn.
No,
No, that was 2 days ago.
We haven't been to the barn yet, have we?
no.
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 Okay.
So it's probably on our way to Habe Sanatorium if that's where we want to go.
I want to go talk to the high priest here about the ancient Thessalonians.
Yeah, I reckon that might be a go to find out a bit more about the rune if possible.
Okay.
What is Action Rise?
It's just a place.
You know?
Just a place. Okay. So,
I mean, there don't seem to be any. Oh, there's Wisher's Well.
what's his name?
The priest.
Yeah.
No,
Father Xantus.
Other Xantus.
And are there any, the only other thing to look for in our list of people, are there any historians? Because you used your history, didn't you, to find out about it?
I did, yes.
Well, once you arrive at Father Xantus, who has just completed his service to Desna for the evening, he tells you, oh, ancient history, that's not really my realm. I deal in souls and salvation, young servants. But there is a man who enjoys all of this sort of material, he says. Absolutely lives for it within town. Somebody Quint, hang on, where is he? Brodit Quint. Quite the scholar in Varisian history and that which came before. Says he's over at number 8. He says as he pulls up his iPad and points a picture of Sandpoint at you.
Number 8,
Num-
Sandpoint.
Number 8, yeah, that's the one.
That's opposite 7.
Sure, he says. I haven't actually,
On my iPad it is.
I haven't reached it yet, but yes,
Yeah.
indeed it is, and it's right next to the old light because he spends most of his time up in those ruins trying to work out what's what and who's who, and well, you know, he's a
Right, well,
Yeah, let's go see him.
thank you
sure.
for your time, Father Xantus.
Oh, anytime. Blessed be upon you from Desna and pretty much everybody else that's here. Hang on. I need to have a look at my list. Blessed be from Abadar, Desna, Rastal, Gosray, Sarenrae, and Shellan. And he touches each of the holy symbols as he goes.
I find that a little unusual.
Well, you know.
He's multi-dominational.
It just reminds me of that character from the original The Mummy movie. You know, just calling out random religious overtones until such time as the mummy recognised one of them and didn't try to kill him. Benny, that's right, little Benny.
I'm sorry.
Benny, that's right.
Are you claiming there's any other mummy movie apart from the Tom Cruise one?
Sorry, what?
Yes, there is.
No. I'm sure you're
Yes,
wrong.
And
It's
in
just,
fact, the other 3, including the third one, were better than the Tom Cruise one.
look, this is the internet. Scientology gets on here a lot. Tom Cruise is awesome.
No. That movie was one of the worst movies I've seen him do.
His name's Kevin Flynn. He works in Queensland. Just saying.
Bring it on.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Oh dear. Okay, so you head over to Rodent Quink, who opens his doors to you. Hello. Yes, the heroes of Soundpoint. So such a fine day to see you come here. Please tell me you're here needing my advice.
We are.
Oh, I knew it. He says.
I want to know all about the ancient Thessalonians.
Oh.
It's a religious experience for him.
Shayla's here?
I knew one day that somebody would come to my door, somebody important, and ask that very, very question. By the way,
funneling his hairy marble wallet, is he?
come in and have what I'm having. And he wanders inside into a room. You can see sort of like his house is absolutely covered in books and tomes and scrolls and maps and all sorts of stuff all over the place. Just it's like a absolute nightmare in here, and you wonder how he actually lives. But you can see that there are a bunch of materials out, and he says, "This is my life's work." Says, and you come asking about the pure essence of what I'm truly here about, Thassalon. Thassalon, the vast empire ruled by powerful wizards. The monuments.
I think we should go.
The monuments! Oh, look at how they've resisted erosion. And he walks over and he clears a few books out of the way of a window that reaches out to the northwestern sort of side to him. He says, look out there, the old light itself. One of the Thessalonian monuments itself, a great weapon once used to bring down invaders of Thassalon. So what were you up? Oh, yes, of course, there are all of those stupid, scholars that mock me, but I am absolutely 100% certain this weapon burned beams of fire out, destroying ships that would decide to strike the Thessalonian Empire from afar.
Sounds awesome. But can you tell us about this 7-pointed star?
Well, look, there are a lot of things that you need to know. Like, to put this in perspective, he says, And perspective is what is absolutely 100% needed in this particular existence. You see, the scholars of the great places like Andorra and whatnot say the Thessalonian Empire died 7,000 to 8,000 years ago. They're wrong. Yes, I know. I am also appalled at such suggestions, he says. Collapsed no sooner than 10,000 years in the past.
I think he's going for an Oscar.
How could they be absolutely so fooled by such date discrepancies? So you mentioned something about a star. What star?
Here's a picture of this rune that we've found.
Oh, really? It says, quite honestly, in my NPC memory, I don't remember anybody drawing down a picture of this 7-pointed star.
I'll just draw it now. The 7-pointed star.
I'm a very arty type, so I will draw one from memory.
Okay, so you have craft drawing or performance painting?
Not yet.
Okay,
No.
right.
I will dance him the shape of the star.
Okay. He looks at the scroll that the paladin comes up with and the dance that you come up with. He goes, interesting. Yes, I identify the Sahedron rune. Ah, yes. You know, the Sahedron rune was the cornerstone of the Thessalonians. The mages that once ruled such a widespread, powerful empire used the Sahedron rune to signify not only the 7 virtues of rule.
Excuse me, but I think we should finish for the night here. He's getting too carried away.
I've had the perfect amount of red wine to play this character, so I think we should exactly stick to the situation. Actually, no, now I've had the perfect example of red wine. Okay, so, yes, before I was rudely interrupted by that stupid dancer. I've heard all about him and his stupid dancing. He just wants to get in the pants of a Miko, in my opinion. And anyway, it signifies not only the 7 virtues of rule, which, just quietly, just to show that, that I am actually on the level. They are obviously wealth, fertility, honesty, pride, abundance, eager and striving, righteous anger and rest, but also the 7 schools of magic, recognized by Thassalon. Now, yes, I know those of you that are magical are pointing out to me right now that there are 8 schools, but let's face it, Thassalon didn't believe in divination magic in any way, shape or form, and let's face it, who can blame them? He smiles and he says, the thing about the leaders of Thassalon were that they were far from virtuous. And we believe, well, I certainly have a theory that I'm going to write a lengthy document about and submit to the Andorran universities up there. Not that they'll listen to me, they think I'm a complete and utter idiot, especially with my 10,000 year policy. But we believe that the 7 points also have risen from the classic mortal sins. Greed, lust, pride, gluttony, envy, wrath, and then he looks at Siron quite seriously. Sloth.
What? Don't know what you're inferring.
They rose from the corruptions of their rule. In any event, the Sahedron rune was certainly a symbol of power, one that may well have stood for and symbolized the empire itself. So what brings you up? What brings this Sahedron rune to prominence? Why has good old Brodit Quink been bothered with such interesting conversation?
We've had some murders.
Murders?
The murderers
Murders.
carved this rune into the chests of his victims.
Carved into the flesh of the victim? Perhaps. And I will point out right now that I am completely and utterly innocent and was mostly spending a lot of time last night reading about the 10,000 years that could possibly would. But It could be that they are some sort of scholar. After all, who else would know of the Sahedron route?
Nobody actually mentioned that the murder occurred last night.
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah, he did.
Yes. But the rune, is it possible for the rune to be used to bring the dead back to life?
Poh! 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 Well, admittedly, the 7 points of the Sahedron rune certainly did point towards the fact that they could have been the 7 schools of magic that the Thessalonians did work upon, and necromancy was one portion of that magic. However, the symbol of the Sahedron rune was simply used as an identification and a collation of all schools of magic. It would never have been used in such a specific way.
You mentioned greed. What was the order? What was the very specific order that you went through?
Oh, God. This is the problem. Nobody ever listens to those that are in the know. You know, if you'd been listening correctly, then you would have more than likely have grasped onto the most important portions of the Sahedron rune. Greed, lust,
Okay. Good. That's
pride,
good.
gluttony, envy, wrath, and sloth. And he points a finger at Sauron again.
Yes, that's great. Okay, so we have murders arising out of greed, mortal, Hask, and Tabe, dead. We've got a murder arising out of lust.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 of the 7 here. It seems like.
So what is Maelwyn? Wasn't the note was addressed to Maelwyn, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What has she got to do with the next step?
All I can think of is that Foxglove fellow. He's the only one that showed me all that attention. Who else?
Yeah, but he seemed like such an inept clown.
Yeah, well, that's what he seemed. But also, maybe he's run afoul of somebody who did something to him.
Hmm. And why has he left town? After all, he was a lord around here, wasn't
Well, he
he?
didn't live in town.
He was there for the Swallowtail Festival.
If you
So
look
where
at
does
that
he?
map, he's got a manor somewhere out of town.
Well,
He
there's
didn't tell us that. He invited us to go there.
yeah. Plus, he probably invited you to go to Magnamar. He's got a townhouse down there.
Well, that's another reference. We had a reference last week or the week before about going to Magnamar as well, which I can't remember exactly what it was, but
Yeah.
I made a note about asking what Magnamar was because I didn't know at the time.
Shall we go look around the barn a bit?
Is that on the way to Magnamar, or is it a different direction?
It's on the way to.
It is on the way to Magnum
Sanatorium.
south, but that's a long
Okay.
way south.
Well, then I think we make plans for a trip ultimately to Magnamar and do the barn and the sanatorium on the way.
Where is Magnamar? Is it on this map?
South.
I don't see it.
Probably too far south. But
Yeah, it's further south.
I think what our reference to Magnamar the other week was that Nualia had joined a skin saw cult, and they were based in Magnamar, according to her diary.
I just make reference to our scholar friend that he does seem to be quite proud of his research and superior knowledge about such things. And
Yes, why? Thank you for noticing.
you might want to be careful about that.
Well, what? What? Careful about knowing things? I say, you religious types, all you want people to have is faith in things, no knowledge. You see, knowledge is the key. If you understand what has come before, then you can understand what will become.
And I think that's the issue. I think that's the exact issue that we've got here, my good friend Scholar. You've just told us the 7 major sins. We've already dealt with greed, lust, and pride is next on the list. So you might want to tone it down, lest you become a victim of your own virtue.
So why is Maelwyn prideful?
I'm not talking about Maelwyn.
But if The last clue points to Maewyn, and the next sin is pride.
Oh, don't pay any attention to the old sun god worshipper. He'll be telling us that tomorrow the sun will rise again, and let's face it, it might not. But let's face it, that is something that can only be proven by science, not religion.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good luck.
Maybe it is the Lord guy, and he thinks Maewyn rejected him because she was too prideful.
He
Oh.
didn't say that.
You spurned him.
He's human. Come on.
Where do you think half elves come from?
Not from this elf.
Is that not a sign of pride? The very thing we've been looking for. She's so proud of her elvishness. They are hoity-toity sort.
Cool.
Okay, so let's get to the point where we know what we're doing next time.
Well,
So we pack up and get ready for a trip to Magnamar.
we've got to go. We've got to check out the barn and the sanatorium.
In the barn and
So
sanatorium.
go to the barn, then you'll go down and see the bodyguard at the sanatorium, and then on to Magnamar.
Yes.
Okay, that gives me direction.
And Magnamar.
Magnamar. Magnamar. That's how you spell it. If you Google it, it will come up. Yeah, it's
So Foxglove Manor's down on the Foxglove River down the coast road as well.
well, yes.
Yeah, we want to go there too.
Well, let's put it this way: that you may not actually know a great deal about Foxglove Manor at this point in time.
Fair enough.
Where did you see Foxglove? Where Foxglove Manor is?
It's in the surrounds map.
The surrounds map.
So let me put you back onto that. Foxglove Manor's right in the bottom left. You also notice Foxglove River. I think he did make mention that he had a manor south of here.
Oh, I see Foxglove Manor. Yeah.
Anyway, he'd be more than happy to see Maewyn again.
Maewyn's pants, Maewyn's pants.
Yeah.
God.
Okay, so we will leave it there. That was a good session, actually. I really enjoyed that. Even though I was running into problems with this lovely new recording system, which froze at 1 hour 30, so I killed the system. And then when I brought it up, it said that it had recorded 2 hours and something or other. So if there's a little break in it, people, that's because I killed it and brought it back up again. But good session. Know where you're going from here. I have a job on Sundays, which means I can sit in between customers and update this sort of thing, but it'll be another fortnight before we play, so good work.
Cool.
So bye bye internet people.